The sudden spiritual awakening that is about to unfold begins quietly, almost like a whisper in the soul, before it grows into a force that cannot be ignored. For many chosen ones, this clarity feels long overdue, as if the Spirit has been waiting in the shadows, observing patiently while you navigated confusion, emotional heaviness, and spiritual fog. What is coming is not just a gentle nudge, it is a shift so profound that it begins rewriting the way you see yourself, your past, and your purpose. This awakening is the kind that does not ask for your permission. It arrives with divine timing, breaking through your resistance, your doubts, and your fears. It pulls you into alignment with something greater, something you were always meant to step into but could not reach because the internal noise was too loud. Now, the noise begins to fall away, piece by piece, because clarity is approaching like a rising sun breaking through a long night. You will begin to notice subtle inner movements, moments where your intuition becomes sharper, where you feel an inner pull toward decisions that once scared you. This awakening is not meant to comfort you at first, it is meant to awaken dormant strength within you. The uneasiness you may feel, the sudden urge to detach from certain people or environments, is a sign that something within you is recalibrating. The spiritual clarity forming now does not tolerate stagnation. It pushes the chosen ones out of hiding, out of situations where they were shrinking themselves, out of emotional patterns that kept them looping in fear or self-doubt. The Spirit is demanding expansion, and this clarity is the beginning of that expansion. As this awakening intensifies, you will feel an internal alignment that may confuse you, because it doesn't come from logic or reason. It comes from the deeper part of you, the part that knows your destiny long before your mind catches up. You will sense new strength rising, a strength that does not rely on validation, comparison, or reassurance. It is a strength rooted in the truth of who you are and what you carry. This shift will make you realize that many of the battles you faced were not punishments, but preparation. Every moment you felt lost, every setback that made you question your worth, every spiritual attack that tried to break your identity was actually shaping you for the surge of clarity. The awakening brings moments where your spirit feels louder than your thoughts. You may find yourself drawn to silence, reflection, or solitude, not because you are withdrawing from life, but because your soul needs space to reorganize itself. This is where your inner world begins to align with your divine path. Old fears start dissolving, not because the battles disappear, but because you finally understand that you have the authority to overcome them. This clarity shows you what was draining you, who was distracting you, and what was delaying you. Your spirit begins to choose peace over chaos, truth over illusions, and purpose over comfort. You start realizing that you are being guided in ways you cannot explain, yet deeply feel. There will be moments when you feel sudden surges of energy, followed by moments of deep stillness. Both are part of the awakening. The energy pushes you toward transformation, while the stillness helps your spirit absorb the new frequencies. You may begin dreaming more vividly, sensing things before they happen, or feeling emotions that don't seem to belong to the present moment. This is your spirit processing what your mind has not yet understood. The clarity coming to you is not just intellectual clarity, it is spiritual clarity that reshapes your perception of reality. It becomes easier to distinguish between what your soul resonates with and what no longer has a place in your life. As this awakening unfolds, your intuition becomes your main guide. You start trusting your inner voice more than the opinions or expectations of others. You stop forcing situations that drain your energy. You begin releasing attachments that once felt impossible to let go of. You sense your power returning, and with it comes a renewed sense of identity. You realize you were never lost, you were evolving. The confusion you felt was part of the transformation required to prepare you for the next level. Now that confusion is turning into clarity, because the timing is finally right. This clarity will show you the patterns you must break, the cycles you must end, and the blessings waiting on the other side of your obedience to this inner shift. You recognize the people who were aligned with your growth and those who were only aligned with your old self. You begin choosing differently, not out of fear, but out of alignment. You start feeling a stronger connection to your purpose, even if you cannot fully articulate it yet. Something inside of you begins whispering that it is time, that you are ready, that the waiting season served its purpose. You will also feel your confidence shifting, not in a loud or boastful way, but in a quiet and unshakable way. You stop second-guessing your worth. You stop apologizing for your intuition. You stop seeking permission to step into your calling. The spiritual awakening coming to the chosen ones in this season strengthens their vision, sharpens their boundaries, and prepares them for opportunities that require a higher level of awareness. You will start recognizing signs, symbols, and synchronicities that confirm the path you are being guided toward. The universe begins to feel more communicative, more intentional, more aligned with your steps. This clarity will not only elevate your spirit, it will also expose what was blocking your progress. You will see the truth behind situations that once confused you. You will understand why certain people left and why certain doors closed. You will see that your protection always came before your promotion. And in that understanding, your inner strength will expand. You begin moving with purpose instead of fear. You begin trusting the shift instead of resisting it. You realize that this awakening is not taking anything from you except what was never meant to stay. Hidden truths and suppressed emotions rising to the surface is one of the most powerful and unsettling parts of the shift the chosen ones are about to experience. This is the moment when the spirit refuses to let you carry what no longer belongs to your journey. For a long time, you may have pushed down feelings, ignored inner warnings, or tried to stay strong by pretending certain things didn't affect you. But when this spiritual shift arrives, those buried emotions begin to move upward, demanding to be seen, acknowledged, and released. This is not chaos, it is purification. It is your soul clearing out everything that has been weighing you down internally, even if you did not consciously recognize it. The heaviness you've been feeling, the strange emotional waves, the sudden moments of reflection or sadness are signs that your spirit is preparing you for a deeper transformation. What has been hiding in the dark corners of your heart can no longer remain unseen. These hidden truths may come in the form of realizations about yourself, your relationships, or the patterns you've been trapped in. You may suddenly see the truth behind situations that you once gave the benefit of the doubt. People's true intentions might become clearer. Your own emotional habits may reveal themselves in ways that are surprising or even uncomfortable. But this discomfort is a sign that you are evolving beyond old versions of yourself. When the Spirit begins bringing truths to the surface, it is not to hurt you, it is to free you. It is to cleanse the wounds you carried quietly, the memories that shaped your fears, the doubts that stole your confidence, the expectations that kept you small. The awakening happening within you is peeling away the layers you built out of survival, so you can finally step into the version of yourself that is built on truth. You may feel moments where your emotions overflow unexpectedly. Thoughts you haven't revisited in years may suddenly return with clarity. Certain conversations from your past may replay in your mind, but this time, you see what you missed before. This is part of the spiritual cleansing. Your soul is showing you the truth without distortion. You begin to understand why certain experiences hurt you the way they did. You recognize how certain people affected your spirit, even if you didn't admit it to yourself at the time. You see how some of your reactions were shaped by deeper wounds rather than the moment itself. It becomes clear that your healing requires honesty, and this honesty is what the shift is now forcing to the surface. As these suppressed emotions rise, you may feel a mixture of relief and intensity. The relief comes from finally facing what you've avoided. The intensity comes from realizing how long you carried these emotional weights. But the Spirit knows you are ready now. You are stronger, wiser, and more grounded than before. That is why these truths are emerging at this specific time. You were not capable of processing them earlier without breaking. Now you are capable of transforming them. You may notice yourself needing more time alone, reflecting deeper, or reassessing your connections. This is because your spirit is rebalancing itself. You are in an internal transition where your emotional energy is being restructured. This phase also reveals illusions. Situations you once believed were stable may suddenly appear fragile. People you once trusted may reveal hidden sides. The stories you told yourself to cope may unravel. But this unraveling is not meant to leave you lost, it is meant to reconnect you to your authentic self. The shift removes illusions so you can stand on truth. Sometimes the truth hurts at first, but it heals in ways lies never can. The emotions rising are your spirit breaking free from emotional prisons you didn't realize you were locked in. You are learning that suppression was not protecting you, it was delaying your evolution. Now your spirit is reclaiming the emotional space that was taken by guilt, fear, resentment, or disappointment. During this process, you may experience emotional triggers more intensely. Small interactions may reveal deep wounds. Simple moments may bring unexpected clarity. This is because you are becoming more sensitive to spiritual truth. Sensitivity is not weakness in this stage, it is awareness. Your spirit is tuning itself to a higher frequency, and anything misaligned becomes louder. You begin to notice draining conversations, manipulative behaviors, or emotional patterns you once overlooked. Your soul no longer tolerates what diminishes your energy. You are learning to honor your emotional reality instead of burying it. This shift empowers you to set boundaries with confidence rather than shame. As hidden truths emerge, you start to understand your past differently. You see how certain disappointments were actually redirections. You realize how certain endings were protection. You understand why certain connections were temporary. This emotional clarity helps you release the burden of trying to make sense of things that never made sense before. The spiritual shift arriving now gives you the emotional strength to accept what once felt unbearable. You begin forgiving yourself for the moments you stayed too long, believed too deeply, or carried too much. This forgiveness is not weakness, it is release. It frees your heart from emotional debts that were draining your spirit. Your energy begins to shift in this phase. You may feel lighter one moment and emotionally heavy the next. This fluctuation is part of the clearing process. Your spirit is sorting through years of emotions, removing what no longer belongs, and strengthening what needs to remain. You are becoming more emotionally intelligent, more self-aware, and more spiritually aligned. You are learning to listen to your emotions without being controlled by them. You are learning to speak truth even when it shakes your voice. You are learning to release emotional pain without losing compassion. Through this process, your inner world becomes more honest. You stop pretending you are okay when you need healing. You stop shrinking your emotions to make others comfortable. You stop ignoring the inner warnings your spirit sends. And in this honesty, you discover a new kind of strength, one that comes from truth rather than suppression. This phase transforms you from the inside out. The hidden emotions rising now are not your breaking point, they are your breakthrough point. The divine shift that is coming to reposition the chosen ones into purpose, power, and new breakthroughs begins subtly, like a quiet movement beneath the surface of your life, and then grows strong enough to reshape everything you once thought was fixed. This shift is not accidental, it is intentional, strategic, and deeply spiritual. It arrives when you have reached the threshold between who you were and who you are becoming. You may feel the signs already, feeling out of place in old environments, feeling disconnected from old habits, sensing that something greater is calling you forward. This is because your spirit is being repositioned. The path you walked until now has served its purpose, but the path ahead requires a different version of you, a version aligned with divine assignment rather than survival. This shift will redirect your steps, refine your vision, and elevate your energy into a place where breakthrough becomes the natural outcome of your obedience to the spiritual pull you feel. You will notice that doors that once remained closed begin opening easily, while doors you once tried to force open now lose their appeal completely. This shift does not just change your circumstances, it changes your desires. Things that once excited you may suddenly feel empty. People who once held influence over your decisions may lose their power. You begin to feel drawn toward unfamiliar territory, moved by something you can't fully explain but deeply trust. This is the Spirit pulling you toward alignment. The divine knows when it is time to move you, and when that time comes, nothing can hold you where you no longer belong. Even delays that frustrated you start making sense, because you realize they were protecting you from entering seasons you were not yet spiritually prepared for. As this shift intensifies, you will experience moments of deep inner knowing. You may not have all the details, but you will sense which direction to choose, which people to trust, which opportunities to accept, and which environments to leave behind. This is spiritual alignment guiding you. When the divine shift begins, clarity becomes your compass, and purpose becomes your destination. You will feel a strengthening in your spirit that gives you the courage to step into what once intimidated you. This is because the shift removes fear and replaces it with conviction. It removes confusion and replaces it with discernment. It removes stagnation and replaces it with momentum. You begin moving with intention instead of hesitation. This repositioning may require you to detach from certain attachments that once felt stable. Some relationships will fade naturally, not because of conflict, but because they are no longer aligned with the version of you emerging. Some routines will feel too small. Some opportunities will no longer resonate. This is the divine preparing space for what is coming. Breakthroughs require room, and sometimes that room is created through release. You may feel moments of emotional discomfort during this process, but the Spirit is not taking anything from you without replacing it with something greater. You are being moved into an environment where your gifts, your wisdom, and your purpose can grow without limitation. The shift will also elevate your spiritual sensitivity. You may feel more aware of the energy around you, more connected to your intuition, and more guided in your decisions. You begin to sense the opportunities that are meant for you before they arrive. You feel warnings before mistakes. You feel momentum before blessings manifest physically. This heightened awareness is part of the breakthrough preparation. It ensures that when new doors open, you walk through them with confidence instead of fear. The divine is positioning you for divine timing, divine partnerships, divine opportunities, and divine elevation. This season is not about forcing things, it is about aligning with what is already ordained. As the shift continues, your power begins to rise. Not the power that comes from dominance or force, but the power that comes from authenticity, clarity, and spiritual authority. You stop asking for permission to be who you are. You stop apologizing for your growth. You stop dimming your light for environments that cannot handle your brilliance. This internal power changes how you show up in the world. You speak differently. You decide differently. You move differently. People around you notice the shift before you even explain it. Your presence begins to carry a different kind of strength, a quiet confidence that comes from alignment with your higher purpose. During this repositioning, you may notice unexpected opportunities beginning to appear. These opportunities will feel aligned, effortless, and undeniable. They will not require you to compromise your values or shrink yourself. They will fit the version of you you've been growing into. The divine shift brings breakthroughs that are not random breakthroughs that connect directly to your calling, your mission, and your spiritual journey. This is why old opportunities that once looked appealing no longer feel satisfying. They were tied to an outdated version of your purpose. The breakthroughs coming now are connected to your divine identity. You may also notice a new level of confidence rising within you. The insecurities that once held you back begin to lose their grip. The opinions of others no longer carry the same weight. The fear of failure becomes less intimidating, because you understand that every step you take is guided. This confidence does not come from ego, it comes from alignment. When your spirit is aligned with its divine assignment, fear cannot overpower you. You begin to feel unstoppable, not because everything is easy, but because everything is purposeful. In this season, the divine shift also brings protection. You may feel disconnected from certain people or situations without knowing why. Trust that this is spiritual protection. Some energies cannot go where you are going. Some relationships cannot accompany you into your breakthrough season. Some environments do not support your growth. The divine removes what is harmful long before you see the danger. This protection is part of your repositioning, ensuring that your path is clear and your spirit is safe for what is coming next. As the shift reaches its fullest expression, you begin to feel aligned with your destiny in a way you've never experienced before. Your steps become guided, your choices become intentional, your energy becomes focused. You stop chasing things and start attracting them. You stop doubting your path and start trusting your unfolding. You begin walking in your purpose with a strength and clarity that was not available to you before. This divine shift marks the transformation of your identity, the elevation of your spirit, and the beginning of your breakthrough season.